This episode is made possible by our sponsor, Landmark College, the college for students who learn differently, offering comprehensive supports for students with ADHD and other learning differences, both on campus and online. Learn more at lcdistraction.org.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Welcome back to Distraction. I'm your guest host, René Brooks, and today we're going to talk a little bit about friendship, like choosing a friend when you are living with ADHD. So a lot of times, people who have ADHD who are struggling with friendship usually get into a place where they feel like they're not maintaining the relationship well. So they're not reaching out or texting or making plans to get together. By the way, all of those things are things that people with executive function issues struggle with. So that's a normal thing. One of the things that I talk to people about when we're trying to help someone who's having trouble in friendships is kind of examining the quality of the friendships to start. When you have a friend who is consistently making you feel bad over things that are ADHD symptoms. For instance, if they've been inviting you to lunch for 7 years and you've been late every lunch for 7 years, at some point, they're going to have to realize that you're late for lunch instead of going through a whole litany of how you need to be more timely and what you should be doing in order to be more timely and getting angry at you. And the reason why I can say that is because I've had the same best friend since I was about 18. We met when I was 17 years old at Penn State, and she knew me from, as you know, I was diagnosed for the third time when I was 25. So that's 8 years of friendship before either one of us knew why I was always late or why I was inconsistent. And the thing that my friend did for me was, if she wanted to be somewhere on time, she knew I've got to poke at Renee and get her to move in order for us to be on time, or I need to tell her a different time, or she would do things to help set me up and support me in the areas that she knew that I struggled in, just like I always supported her in the areas that she struggled in. And that, to me, is the real way that you form friendships, like the kind of friendships that'll last as long as ours has, because I'll tell you, we met when I was 17, I'm 37 now. We've had a 20-year friendship, which is really makes me feel quite old now that I think about it. Anyways, you want to have friends who love you for who you are, not friends that take you on as a project. A few years ago, I decided to stop taking on friends who treated me like someone who would be really great if I could just get more organized. And they were always sending me different ways to get organized, or friends who were always trying to make us go to things that required me to be extremely punctual. I don't commit to things like that. Unless it is unavoidable on my personal time, I don't commit to things that I have to be super punctual for. I need a break from the effort that it takes to be on time. So when I find there are some people who will literally befriend you for the purpose of reforming you. And when I started to get those feelings about a friend, I learned to extricate myself, because it's not okay. You're not a project. You're not a problem. You're a person. And every person, whether you call it ADHD, whether they have anxiety, whether they're depressed, everyone has a way of being. And if you enjoy that person, then you learn to live with their way of being and find a way to make it work for both of you. Because obviously, the implication for so many of us is that we don't want to be an inconvenience or a bother to someone. But the thing that people miss in those conversations is that nobody is easy to be friends with. No, like everyone is going to have something that kind of rubs against people's, I don't know, nerves, whatever you want to call it. There is no one who isn't irritating in some way. And when we put that on someone, like, I feel like people with ADHD, we take that on as a burden where we don't want to be the inconvenience and we don't want to be the one making the mistakes. And we see ourselves sometimes as the only people in those relationships who are capable of making mistakes or being frustrating. And it puts you in a place where you're consistently taking all the blame and making all the apologies. And that's not reality. That's not how real relationships are. So I just want to caution you and encourage you to pick friends who actually like you. Friends shouldn't be consistently offering you criticism that you haven't asked them for. Friends shouldn't be suggesting ways that you can improve if you haven't asked for improvement. Some of us have made peace with some of the things that we do. Like, if you can't handle 10 or 15 minutes of lateness, I can tell you in advance, you're not going to enjoy being my friend. So maybe we can be chummy, but we're not going to be close. And that's okay. That's no value judgment on you or me. That's just knowing we have two conflicting ideas of what's necessary, and they're not going to jive well together. We don't have to be friends with everyone. We don't have to be everybody's cup of tea. We're allowed to be who we are unapologetically. And that is something I learned from someone who doesn't have ADHD. My best friend, Liz. Please reach out to us and let us know what you think. Record a voice memo or write an email and send it to connect@distractionpodcast.com. Distraction is created by Sounds Great Media. Our producer is Sarah Gurton. I'm René Brooks. You can find me at blackgirllostkeys.com and on Twitter at BLKGirlLostKeys.
The episode you just heard was made possible by our sponsor, Landmark College, the college for students who learn differently, offering comprehensive supports for students with ADHD and other learning differences, both on campus and online. Learn more at lcdistraction.org.